but maybe not. Maybe it's just they cut a bunch of lines and then maybe they just added a whole bunch of text after they did the recordings, and they're like, it gives it an interesting flavor that they say slightly different. I don't know. And like I said, like sometimes they'll just skip a line, like they won't say.
Yeah, I was gonna say Half Genie Hero was a big deal because the previous game she wasn't a genie, and that we were left off on years of just like we played a Shantae game, but we didn't have her genie powers or anything. So at the end of that story, concluding, we come back and she actually is a Half Genie Hero again.
Yeah, was she always a half genie though?
Yeah, she was always a half genie.
Or was that not clear?
Okay. That was very clear from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think it spoils anything that in Seven Sirens there are other half genies that appear at the beginning, but apparently not very many. Apparently there are only like 6 in the world, including Shantae. So, and then things happen that I won't spoil. But I'll have to say, you know what bothered me? This won't take long. About Seven Sirens is that they released it initially in chapters on mobile. Do you remember that?
Yes, but I did not. Well, I don't remember that. I've heard of it, right? Like I read up on it because I didn't actually hear about Seven Sirens or anything until after it was already released for like 6 months. And I'm talking about the finished version. I'm like, what? There was another Shantae game? I didn't even hear about it.
Exactly. That's my point. Is that I heard about it. I don't know how, but I heard about it. Probably just because I happened to have an iOS device and it was released on iPhone first, but like in chapters. And when I looked at it, I played the first chapter. I think was free, and I played it, and I was like, "This is a mobile game. I want a real Shantae game. This feels like a mobile game. The controls are terrible. They're releasing it in chapters, which really bugged me. But then when they finally released it for real, like the whole thing I don't remember what console or whatever they released it on first, but it was like, I think it was a mistake to do mobile because I think a lot of people were confused. Like either they hadn't heard of it or they thought it was just a mobile game. But once they finished it, it was a full-fledged Shantae game, and it's awesome.
One of the problems is they never marketed it.
Yeah.
I follow all of their pages and stuff. I never heard of this game until after it had already been released on the Switch for like a few months.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I heard about it too. I didn't even hear about it because I saw it on the Switch or anything. I was doing some background research on Shantae, and when I went to the main page that had all the games, I'm like, why is there this game listed on here that I haven't heard of?
Yeah. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, I wonder how it turned out for them, if it hurt sales or helped or what, because I think it was a mistake. I really don't like the way they released it.
I don't either.
And it's a shame because it's really top notch. It's I mean they all are, but it's just as good, if not better, than a lot of the other shows. So I would recommend it. Highly recommend.
I have a lot of things that I really want to play, but it's finding the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome to the Vomitorium. We are live, as always. I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing. I had a Big Mac. It's been sitting there for a while, so then I had to go in and I had to go peel off some of the, at least the pickles, because if I want to heat it back up, onions and lettuce, they can get boiling hot in the microwave if you leave it too long, but you don't need to put it too long. Pickles, you leave it in the microwave for a second, and the vinegar inside of them are already boiling hot. So it's like I had to go peel those off, nuke the Big Mac, and then put the pickles back on. Yeah.
I didn't know when you said sitting there. I thought you meant like in your stomach. I didn't realize you meant
kind
actually
of it's in my
sitting
stomach now, but yeah.
Yeah. I decided to get P.F. Chang's takeout tonight. And I just got out of the shower, which was my mistake because I'm sweating from the shower. Just a very hot
we
shower.
got a question from Flit. When a game is released in chapters, do you pay for each new chapter, or do you pay full price upfront and then download the chapters for free as they're released? It depends, and a lot of times game companies will give you two options. Usually the first chapter is free, far more often than not, as kind of like a demo to get you to want to play the rest of the game. But then they'll either give you like a single price option per chapter. Depending on how long the chapter is, it could be anywhere between like $1 to $5 a chapter, maybe even 10, but that's a lot rarer. That has to be a pretty like developed and long winded chapter. Or they'll give you like a season pass cost, which is basically the same as paying for a full game, and you get them as they come out.
Yeah. I don't remember how they did Shantae, but I mean Seven Sirens, because I feel like each chapter was basically DLC from the first one. I don't think they released that. It was all one game, but I really don't remember what the pricing.
Well, it's like Telltale used to do this, right? Back when they were still a company. Mm-hmm. And they gave you both options. Typically, if you wanted to pay for what was normally a full game price, you could buy the whole game up front before it was all done. And it would be slightly more expensive to buy it chapter by chapter, but you were less committed to the game. So you're like, if at some point you just weren't feeling it, it's like, I've spent like $15 on this game, I'm out.
Yeah, King's Quest did it that way. The new King's Quest, the new Sam and Max game did it that way.
Yeah. Which I think is fair. I mean,
I want to say
both options, right? Like for people who want it. And it is usually cheaper to invest fully right at the start, but at the cost of the convenience being more expensive, you can always dip out at any time if you're not enjoying it.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with that in general. Bendy and the Ink Machine also did it that way.
Yeah.
My objection with Seven Sirens was that it was on mobile.
Yeah.
And just the on-screen controls, horrible. It's a fast-paced platformer. You have to have physical controls. It's just you can't play it the other way. The other way.
I mean, unless they went like totally retro, and they were like making a new game like the original Shantae for mobile, you could probably do that because the original game's pretty slow.
Yeah. But this one's not slow. I don't know if we were live yet, but I was saying they've changed it up so that the transformations that Shantae does are not done through the dancing. You do them on the fly. There's so many buttons on the Switch controller. There's a different button for each transformation, and you can zoom around the screen, transforming into different things really fast. And so for that, I don't even know how you would do that on mobile. I don't know how they do it. I don't know. But
that's kind of like in the newer Devil May Cry's Dante being able to just switch his battle style on the fly. So they actually went back and the Switch version of Devil May Cry 3 was updated to let him switch his styles on the fly like you can in the newer games. And it made this really old PlayStation 2 game play like a modern game. Like it sped it up so fast. You can get through that game a lot faster than you used to. And it's amazing like what minor changes to a system can do to the entire game.
Yeah.
But the reason we were on Way Forward in the first place is because Way Forward is remastering one of my absolute favorite Game Boy Advance games, Advance Wars, both the first and the second one. In what were they calling it? Reboot Camp, I think was the name of it. Yeah. And I love Advance Wars. It's by Intelligent Systems.
You want me to play the video like I did yesterday?
I mean, yeah, if you want. It makes no difference to me as long as it's muted for the sake of the recording
As it
afterwards.
is.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's a game by Intelligent Systems originally, which you would know for Fire Emblem, which is why when you see the gameplay, if you've never seen the War series, it looks distinctively the same as Fire Emblem. But it's a lot more
Yeah.
colorful, it's a lot more poppy. The characters have a lot more personality to them, too, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a better series than Fire Emblem. I think the tactics are better,
Mm-hmm.
too. It's more over the top. And you'd also know they make WarioWare, which is weird when you see like the personalities, the characterizations that show up in the War series and in WarioWare, and then compare it to Fire Emblem. You're like, are you sure these are made by the same company?
Yeah, that's interesting. Completely different styles. I wonder how. I mean, I wonder if it's like do they pick different designers, or do they have the same designers that just change up the look?
It's a small group. Like Intelligent Systems is not a very big studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you've got artists that are
It's the
good,
day after my birthday
presumably they
too. And then
presumably they can change up
Oh yeah.
change up the design.
But man, like I
Oh,
know what
you
I'm
were you
getting
were
for
looking
my
at the
birthday.
release date.
Yeah, I know I'm getting myself for my birthday.
You say it's coming out the day after your birthday?
Yeah, it's a December 3rd. And
Yeah, it looks neat.
I'm excited.
It's like kind of reminds me of like Little Green Army Men.
Yeah.
Only they're
Yeah.
orange and blue.
And that's the cool thing is like the battles get really over the top, but it is just a turn-based strategy system. So you actually get like aerial units, sea units, infantry, all kinds of stuff that do have advantages against each other. They have different strength. Like, and you get like some really strong individual units. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you pick up the right characters, you can get a single person with a rocket launcher that can take out an entire infantry unit on their own. And it gets pretty fun.
That's cool. Advance Wars and Advance Wars 2 Black Hole Rising.
Yep. I am really excited for it.
Are you going to pre-order it?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not.
Are you going to get it in physical or digital?
No, I'm probably just going to get it digital. I'm sure there'll probably be an announcement within the next week or so that Limited Run Games is doing like a physical version, because I don't think they announced that this is actually getting physical, is it? Is Way Forward doing a physical version of this?
Oh, you don't think they are?
They don't always.
Maybe not.
When's the last Shantae game that you saw a physical copy of?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess they don't always do that. All right.
Yeah. So maybe if there is a physical, I might pick it up, but if not, I'm probably just going to get digital. I don't think I'm going to wait for Limited Run Games, because they take forever. Like, there's specific games I wanted physical, so I was willing to wait, but you can be waiting half a year after you order something from Limited Run Games to get it. Like, I still don't have my Scott Pilgrim yet. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's fine. I want the physical
stop.
version of that, so that doesn't bother me at all, but...
Yeah. Well, cool.
What do you guys think of
Yeah, that's definitely
Evil
one.
Dead? Timothy asks. Like,
Oh,
the
yeah, did
game
you see
or in
the,
general? I saw he tagged us in a
No,
post
the-
about the game.
Yeah, the game. I think he's talking about the game.
Now, if we're talking about the game, I don't think much of it. That's
Yeah.
just it. It doesn't look like my kind of thing. I have yet to play an Evil Dead game that I actually enjoyed. Usually the only good part about it is that they do get Bruce in there to voice his character. But like aside from how funny everything is like the gameplay is always boring.
Mm-hmm. Timothy says, "Oh, it has to be way better than the old ones."
I mean, I'm assuming, but I don't know.
Is it just sort of a third person, just like go around killing zombies and shit
Yeah.
kind of thing?
Which I
Kind of like Resident Evil.
Yeah, but so I think it's more like Dead Rising, the Capcom game where you play Frank West in the mall. And I don't like that game either. That game is like incredibly boring for me. I like Frank West as a character, but I just can't stand the game.
Well, were there no presentation E3 presentations
I don't
today
know.
or not? If there were, I wasn't paying attention.
I didn't see much about it. I've got things up, but like I don't see any important releases. I'm just surprised that we didn't talk about Advance Wars. You said you forgot it, but like to me, this is like the single most important announcement that happened at E3.
Yeah. I hear you. Dillard's asking what we were talking about. We're talking about Advance Wars. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you mentioned, it's being done by Way Forward.
Yes.
Which is why we ended up.
I did mention that during the transition. Say the reason we were talking about Way Forward in the first place.
And they're they're definitely my favorite indie game developer ever. Definitely one of my favorite. I mean, hard to beat like Nintendo, but
I don't. It's hard for me to call them indie, like even at their beginning. Small studio, I think, is a better name for Way Forward. I don't know if I would consider them indie, because even when they started, they were still more than just like a couple independent creators or anything. They were just like a small dev group. I mean, the word indie's kind of loose. You could apply it, but I like small studio creator. I think that's just a better term for what they are and what they do.
Okay. Yeah. But they publish their own stuff. They're not like, they don't publish through Electronic Arts or any bullshit.
No. They don't go through major publishers or anything. If you want to say they're an independent publisher, that is perfectly fine. I just think like a more specific term like small studio developer is just an accurate title for them.
Well, they're my favorite small studio.
Yeah.
Definitely. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making Advance Wars 1 and 2 remake.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting distracted by the chat.
I try not to let the
Sean
chat
says,
distract me.
Yeah, I sometimes do. But anyway, yeah, that was sort of the last big thing. I did also see some people were, I guess, maybe missed it on the first pass, but then a couple of people went back and noticed that Nintendo did say when they were first talking about the Zelda Game & Watch thing, that was basically the only other Zelda thing they're going to do this year for the 35th anniversary. At least they seem to heavily imply. Yeah, like basically suggesting they're not going to do a Zelda 3D All-Stars thing.
Oh, I knew they weren't going to. I told you they weren't going to.
Yeah.
What do you think this is? You think they're Mario?
Anyway.
I mean, I like Zelda way more, but do you think they're Mario? Do you think Zelda brings in the capital that Mario brings in?
Well, not overall, but
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild sold more than Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah. But how many Mario-related games were also released since then?
Yeah.
Zelda's
I mean,
a
they're
series.
releasing-
Mario's a franchise.
Yeah. Mario Golf is coming out. We didn't talk about
The game is like 10% golf. I'm excited for it.
that. 10% golf and 90% Mario.
Yeah, there's no, not even just that. There's 90% anything that's not golf. I mean, half the game is you running between the holes now.
Yeah. Well, now I watched them play that yesterday on the Treehouse, and it did look remarkably like golf.
Yeah. Except Charge and Chuck doesn't
Remember
even
that?
use a club. He just chucks the ball.
I didn't see that part. Does he?
Yeah. Charge and Chuck just chucks the ball. That's what he does.
I didn't.
It's in his
I
name.
missed
That's what he
that part.
does. He chucks things.
Yeah. I guess so.
Which is weird.
Oh my gosh.
Because Charge and Chuck never chucked things in the past. He kind of just charged at you. It was, well, I guess there was the one that threw the footballs, but for the most part, it was just he was charging at you the whole time.
Yeah. It was my impression that it was the charging
That was part of
sort
his
of
yeah.
the verb. The Chuck was just short for Charlie, right?
No. Both of them are
For
verbs.
Charles.
He's charging and he chucks. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I never took the word chuck. I thought it was just, alliteration for the charging aspect of it. But I guess he does throw a football at you
Yeah.
in Super Mario World.
That's what he does. He charges and he chucks.
Apparently, for some reason I missed that part because what they were playing as Mario and Pauline
Ah.
on the treehouse, so that's all I saw.
Well, I don't know
And
if
it
he
did look-
never uses golf clubs. The only thing I saw from Charge and Chuck in the trailer was him doing his super. And during his super, he just picks up the golf ball and he throws it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about this. That you have like these super shots and all this stuff, and you build up an energy bar, and once it's full, you can do these special super shots. And it's like, is this really golf? It's golf in the same way that Mario Kart is like Forza Motorsports racing game. It's sort of in that vein, or the Mario Tennis is really tennis.
Yeah.
So
Mario, was it Strikers? Whichever one the soccer one is. That
Soccer.
actually does play like a soccer game does.
which you probably wouldn't even want. Who would want to play a soccer game?
Well, a soccer game, but also with super moves.
Yeah.
But, super moves make sense in soccer, right? Like, you see people doing these crazy, like, jump in the air super kicks into the goal all the time just because it throws people off.
Yeah. You don't really see that all the time. You see it occasionally.
Well, you see super cuts of them all the time because they're so, spectacular that people want to make cuts of them.
Yeah. I don't know. Timothy seems like he's trying to drive people away here. He's starting beef in our chat. I can't really tell. I'm trying to ignore him.
Well, as long as he's not starting chicken in our chat or anything, I much prefer beef.
That's right. I likes me the red meat.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get away from E3 if you wanted to had more to talk about, but did you see
No. I have nothing more to
Windows
talk about.
11?
I did not see Windows 11.
Windows 11 has leaked. An entire build of Windows 11 has leaked.
Is it crap?
It looks like Windows 10.
Okay, so it's crap.
I guess.
Windows has
doesn't
been
look
crap
any
since
better.
XP, okay? That's my opinion. Windows 98 was the last good Windows.
I mean, I don't have any problem with it. It seems all right. But It's got rounded corners and a revamped start menu, for fuck's sake. I mean, Jesus Christ, just leave the start
Are they
menu
trying to
alone.
baby gate Windows?
What, with rounded corners?
Yeah.
I guess.
Is
Does
our new
Mac
virtual
OS even
assistant?
have rounded windows?
I don't know. It's like, is our new virtual assistant going to be like a toddler running around? We got to make sure he doesn't get hurt on all the sharp corners.
Yeah, I guess. Clearly, this was leaked out of China because there's Chinese symbols on the on the screenshots, and the name it even has a person's name, Yuan Jiangzhu. China, I swear. How did they even get their hands on a copy?
I don't know. Probably somebody violating an NDA.
Probably. But apparently Windows 11 is a thing. They said they weren't going to release any more new versions of Windows. I guess that's out the door.
That was always out the door. Why would you trust them when they say stuff like that?
I never really did. Flit says no beef or chicken, just a bunch of jive turkeys.
Dillard's upset with you.
Yeah, I don't know if I believed. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just ignoring Timothy. But yeah, I don't think I believed them when they said, "Oh, Windows 10 is the last one. Like, we'll just have minor updates to that." I mean, even Mac. You know, you could say it's all been Mac OS ever since Mac OS became a thing, but it's like they've still had major releases.
Yeah. I think they should have had this mentality just back with Windows 98. Everything should have just been incremental improvements to Windows 98 until we got to where we are now. And I think Windows would have just been much better.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, what you do is you just start throttling it hard to where the hardware that used to be on it doesn't support it any longer. So you're still forcing people to buy new computers. So they, with it, they have to get a new version of Windows because of licensing. It's not like they're still not selling Windows to people. They just keep incrementally improving Windows 98.
The problem is they had to revamp it. I don't remember if it was XP or Windows 7, but at one point they basically had to rebuild the kernel from the ground up because it was so insecure and kept having major.
This was 7.
Right.
But it wasn't the first time they tried doing it. Vista was their attempt at rebuilding it, and that's why Vista was so broken, so that they just redid it again with 7.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been fine if they had left it at Windows 7, especially since 8 was such a debacle. But they needed to. Every Windows before 7 then was a disaster in terms of security. Utter disaster. Which it was fine because they weren't designed to work with the internet initially. It's not like to the degree obviously it is now. But they couldn't have kept their code base before 7.
But that's also why everything sucks now.
I know.
Yeah.
I understand.
Maybe the sad part is, yes, it is a security disaster, but there are ways of compensating for it. Like, there are people who have modded versions of XP that they're still using. The problem is it just locks them out from using basically all modern software.
Yeah. But at any rate, I don't have a problem with Windows 10. I like it. Seems all right. Better than Vista. Better than Windows ME.
Vista. Like, that's the lowest bar you could probably set an operating system to, is Vista.
Yeah. Remember ME?
I remember
ME
Millennial Edition. Yeah, I remember.
Millennium Edition. It wasn't
Yeah.
Millennial Edition.
No, that's what I said. I just kind of slurred over my tongue.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. There was no such thing as we didn't have the word millennial in our vocabulary at the
Well,
time.
the word millennial existed a long time ago. We just didn't start using it in the way that we use it now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. It's really hard to tell. There's a short demo of Windows 11, but it's just like opening and closing windows, and it's like, okay, things are rearranged slightly.
Speaking of that word, it is weird how we use it right now because we use millennial to refer to a generation, but the word millennial actually means something that is 1,000-year old, right? In the same sense that centennial means something that's 100 years old.
Yeah, it's a misnomer.
Yeah.
Unless millennials are all like immortal beings that are 1,000 years old.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'm just secretly like some type of eldritch god.
That's right. I still can't figure out, are millennials people who basically turn 20-ish around the year 2000?
No. They said
The
people who
generation
were coming to adulthood in it. So that actually ranges anywhere between, like, I think, early 80s to early 90s. But usually people use the 85 to 95 cutoff, with 95 and 85 actually sitting right around in the barrier. It's people who hit teenage or full adulthood around the turn of the millennium. That's what the generation is. So I'm at the youngest end of the millennials.
So am I at the oldest end? Because I turned 23 in the year 2000.
Yeah, you might be actually.
I don't even know.
It depends. You might be in the barrier ground between Gen X and millennial, because the boundaries really aren't solid, and it just depends mostly culturally what you were. You know, like, were you more around what is known as the millennial culture or the Gen X culture? A lot of times, if you have siblings, that will depend. Like, my brother Joey is 94. He is widely considered millennial because he has older siblings and cousins who are all millennials, so that is the culture he was in, even though he's kind of in that blurry middle area.
Mm-hmm. See, I had older sisters, but they were so much older that I didn't really,
Like,
connect with them. Like, my youngest sister is 6 years older than me, and my oldest sister is 11 years older.
Yeah.
So they were all like in college by the time I was in middle school.
Yeah, so it's probably more likely that you're just at the upper end of the millennial.
Yeah.
There's probably a disconnect between you and the generation before.
Yeah.
It's actually usually how you could tell the millennial. There are very few, but there are some Gen Xers that are, like, into video games. But like, millennials are the big crew that got into video games and what made them the world entertainment media, and now everybody's getting into them.
Yeah. Well, I definitely got into video games back in the 80s. Early 80s. I'm trying to read because Timothy's tagging me. Oh, he says, I just recently watched. I seen my name in orange. It says, I just recently watched the E-Man trailer for the new cartoon. What did I think of it?
We already talked about this. He missed the episode where we did that, so we don't really want to go back over it too much. But I think both of us are optimistic but cautious. I think it's pretty safe to say.
Yeah, the animation looks great.
Yeah.
Nervous about the storyline. It seems like it might end up being a bait and switch, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll watch it. We'll find out.
I'll give it a chance. Especially knowing that it's Netflix, we're probably not getting like 12 hours of episode when it launches. We might get like 4. So it's not like something you can't just binge in one sitting.
Yeah, maybe 6 or 8. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I said, the animation looks good, so I'll give it a chance. I watched 0 minutes and 0 seconds of She-Ra because the animation was shit, utter shit. So I'll give that one a chance. Flit wants to know the most important thing: can he run Windows 11 for free if he never activates it? I don't know.
I mean, possibly. They are making it harder and harder to do stuff like that, but if there's a will, there is a helm.
Yeah. Well, Flit, you're probably right. It is probably going to be all about Tila, and so.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure too, because Kevin Smith keeps saying it's not, but it's also Kevin Smith who's a pushover, and I think he's just trying to win people over.
Yep. And he's a liar. So we'll see. Oops.
Yeah. What's actually animation that's more exciting is that there's a Lord of the Rings anime movie coming out. And Warner Brothers has been fast tracking it. They've been dumping a lot of money into it. And it's by...
Where's that from?
What? It's coming from Japan. It's an actual anime.
I mean, is it going to be in theaters or is it going to be on a streaming service?
I'm assuming theaters, because it looks like it's going to be in theaters in Japan, and it's by Kenji Kamiyama, who everybody should know as the head of the Ghost in the Shell series. And Ghost in the Shell has wonderful animation and storytelling. So I'm actually pretty excited for this. And it's going to be The War of Rohirrim, which is about King Rohan. And that's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be really fun. It's not necessarily, is it? Yeah, that takes place during the Lord of the Rings, so I think it'll be a cool animation.
It takes place during the Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Who are they fighting against?
The same people. So the Lord of the Rings seems really short the way the movies work, but if you actually read the book, there are a lot of battles going on in this war simultaneously. Like, it's not just, oh, there's this one big battle at Helm's Deep, and then they move on to Gondor and stuff. There's a lot of different skirmishes and battles going on. It's like a full-blown war happening. And there's a lot of stuff that just don't get talked about.
In the movies.
Yeah, so...
In the existing movie.
At the moment, Warner Brothers it's a standalone production, but Warner Brothers is using it as a companion piece to Jackson's Lord of the Rings because it covers story details that didn't get covered in the movie.
That's cool. Yeah, I read the books, but like 20 years ago, so I don't remember.
Let's see. I want to say same. Well, I read The Hobbit 20 years ago because I read that in the 4th grade. So a little less than 20 years ago for the other books because I read those in like 5th and 6th. It's been a long time. I've reread The Hobbit a few times since then. I haven't gone back and reread The Lord of the Rings in a while.
I tried reading the Silmarillion. I couldn't do it.
Oh, dude, I burned through that thing fast.
Really? I read like the first quarter of it and then gave up. And then I read like half of it and I gave up. I couldn't keep it all straight, and it read like, stereo instructions, and it's just like
it reads like a textbook.
Yeah. It reads like a history book, or almost like the Bible. Like,
well, it's formatted to read like the Bible. That's actually by design.
Yeah. It's just generation after generation, and it seems so repetitive. It was like, okay, the elves beat the orcs, and then they go away, and then they ignore them for a while, and the orcs come back, and they have to beat them again.
Well, you know why though, like right? I mean, the Bible's also repetitive, but the reason for that is because it's not an actual book. Or it's not one of Tolkien's books, right? It was his son.
It was put together
who took his notes and he filled in the gaps and stuff. Because Tolkien's son basically was his world's Bible because he was telling him all these stories the whole time he was working on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he grew up knowing this stuff. He knows more, or he knew more about this stuff off the top of his head, you know, rest in peace, than anybody did who'd been studying the things for years, because it was just something that was ingrained to him. So when he found all of his old notes and he was piecing this stuff together, he was sitting there filling in the gaps, and trying to make it like a Bible, it ended up reading like a history textbook.
Yeah. So I did find the bit about what was his name? I want to call him Aragog, but that's not his name. The spider.
Yeah.
But the stuff about the spider was interesting.
I think you're confusing that spider with the name of the giant spider in Harry Potter.
Yes, exactly. I know. It had a similar name though. Shelob, right?
Yes, who you do meet in Lord of the Rings. It's the same spider that does try to take Frodo.
Yeah, and it turns out it's like many thousands of years old.
Yes. And
it once like raised an entire spider army to try to take over the entire world. It was like, wow, that's an interesting history.
There's a lot of interesting stuff in the history of Middle-earth that they've never talked about. Like how there is a dragon the size of mountains whose wings can black out the sky.
Yeah.
Who's only like the second most powerful bad thing in Middle-earth. Because he's the son of the most powerful bad thing. And hello, Dillard.
And Sauron wasn't even... Sauron wasn't even the most powerful. Like, he was
like the apprentice type guy. Like the yes man. Go run me coffee.
Exactly, yeah.
Wasn't Sauron basically like the same level as like Gandalf?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Isn't Gandalf and the Balrog like the same level as well?
Gandalf the Grey and the Balrog were the same level. When he became the White, he was the same level as Sauron.
Racist.
Yeah. But Gandalf is basically an angel. That's basically what he is.
He's a what?
An angel. Like, in that world, he is the equivalent of an angel.
Yeah, I mean, and all 5 of the wizards are immortal as well. Just like the elves. So they've been around just as long as the elves. Or, approximately.
I don't know. I feel like the description for all that stuff was very vague on how they are immortal on purpose.
Yes. Well, because they're only functionally immortal, but they're not truly
because
immortal.
He didn't really have an answer.
Well, I don't think it's not because he didn't have an answer. I think he didn't want to commit to something because he wanted to let the world kind of just flow out on its own. Because he wanted to kind of leave it as vague as, like, it's supposed to be a modern British mythology because the British people at the time did not have their own mythological system, right? And in many ways, how angels work in the Bible are equally as vague.
Yes. And I do agree that I could not power myself through the Silmarillion. I gave up after like 4 pages. No, I'm not doing it. Even Lord of the Rings, I had to push myself to finish that when I read it. And I didn't even try to read that until after I was an adult. And I still had to force myself through that just to finish it because it's very different, very, very different from The Hobbit, which was a very easy, great, fun read and very interesting. And it has a good pace, and The Lord of the Ring does not.
Flip's wondering if the anime "So I'm a Spider, So What" is Shelob's backstory. I'm not familiar with that anime.
No, that's
and
not.
And then
Shelob's
Timothy
backstory.
says someone rolled up a giant newspaper and killed the spider army.
Well, the scary part, Spider Army, there actually used to be a whole infantry of Balrog. There was more than just one at one point in time.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, I mean, it's kind of interesting when things like, Tolkien doesn't really explain the whole immortal thing because it's like, it's more realistic because it's like, I don't know if the immortals themselves really understand it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they just are. They don't really know. They're just
Yeah, like
you know, they just
Gandalf
are.
has a mortal form, but he
Mhm.
died, and then he was sent back. He even says he was sent back because his mission's not done, and that's when he became the White.
Mhm. Was he always looking like an old man, or was
Yeah, when
he
he was
ever
the
young?
Gray, that's just part of his look. Like the eagles are also angels, and they always look like eagles.
Yeah. But I mean, he looks like an old man even when he's Gandalf the Grey, doesn't he?
Yes, he was always an old man. That's just he's a wizard. That's what
Yeah.
wizards look like.
But he never aged.
No.
Apparently.
And was he ever Gandalf the Brown or blonde?
I don't know. They don't actually. They talk about that. They only talk about the gray and the white. They don't tell you if he was ever anything else.
He's Mithrand here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Such a good
Gandalf
movie.
is Gandalf
Like, the
is white
movies are
Jesus.
better than that. Those movies. There are only a few movie adaptations that I enjoyed way more than the books. The Lord of the Rings is one of them.
I would have enjoyed it more if they put the songs in there.
No, I hate songs.
I love this.
I
They
think
put
if they
the
would've-
damn songs.
I think the
They
songs
put
are
the songs
super
in The
cringe.
Hobbit.
Like
Yeah.
they don't even have to be like the character singing them because you don't.
They
even
did put the
imagine
songs in The
characters.
Hobbit.
They did, and I
that
loved
was a
it.
very bad movie. That was a terrible movie.
I loved the first one. I thought the first one was great. It was the second one that I had problems with.
Mhm.
The only good part of the second one was when what's his name showed up as the dragon.
Yeah.
That was great. That was one of the best dragons I've seen in a movie since Reign of Fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I was like super
Yeah.
hyped in the theaters when they started singing "Tip the Glasses."
Yeah, I left.
I got how great they're singing. I'm out of here. There you go. Timothy has an idea. Maybe he was Gandalf the Plaid.
That's not how that works.
That's not.
Yeah, that was a pretty epic dragon. I mean, it was huge. It's a lot bigger than you expect.
Schmo.
That's what she said.
That's right.
His wings are like hurricanes. Dude, I love that
I
movie,
didn't
dude.
get. They didn't really. I didn't think they were gonna do a very good job with the conversation between
Yeah.
Bilbo and the dragon. It was so good the way they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
it.
I
It was
thought they
really
were
good.
gonna completely slaughter it, to be honest.
Hmm. Yeah, they did
That
it
was
just like
surprising.
just the way it happened in the book, right? I mean, pretty
Pleasantly
much.
surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop.
Which is a little confusing, but I guess that was the point. He was just trying to be very vague.
Yeah. That was great.
About who.
It was Smog from not
Marsupials.
He's not from LA. He's not Smog. He's Smaug.
It's funny they called him a Drake at one point, and it's like, is that a? I thought a Drake was a baby dragon.
No. A Drake
You're
is a
thinking
type of
the
dragon.
duck.
Oh, okay. I guess it depends on if you're talking about D&D or Middle Earth.
Same
Yes,
stuff.
Drake is a duck. But only during the day. At night, he fights crime.
Drake Mallard. Yes, you heard right. LA has a Smaug problem.
Does. Yeah, Marsupial's favorite part of the movie was the love between the Hobbit and the elf girl.
The
Yeah.
thing that wasn't even in the book.
You mean the thing that should have been in the book?
No.
Absolutely.
I hated that. That was the thing that brought down
Should
the
have
whole
consulted
series.
Peter
for me.
Jackson. That's the best part.
Metal's favorite part was the barrel race down the rapid river.
Yo, actually, I like that.
Look, it was so realistic.
I'm not even gonna lie. I
Marsupial's
like
favorite
that.
part was the was melting
He's
that
like-
big golden statue. Marsupial loved that part.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like it was like Super Mario dwarves bouncing around.
I thought you were gonna say it looked like Super Mario of the graphics. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that movie sucked balls, dude. I couldn't handle it. I forced because of course I had to watch them all. You know, I really wanted to, and I really did not enjoy the majority of those movies. I mean, there were parts that were like really painful to watch. Like there's some parts in some movies that are very small that just happen, and they kind of ruin the movie from making it a 10. You know, like there are 2 movies that I consider 10s, but always in the back of my mind it's gnawing at me because there's parts in them that Okay, you remember Tremors?
Yes.
Okay, at the very end of the movie, why does Kevin Bacon wait, shuffle his feet, and then jump to the side to get out of the way of the graboid as he throws the dynamite behind it? That was so cringe to me, right? Like I was like, what do you? That doesn't belong in the movie. It had no point. Also in Terminator 2, my favorite scene in the whole movie, I'm sure I've told you before, is when he hops up on the back of the truck, climbs up, pulls out his M16 or whatever, starts firing into the T-1000's face, busts in, turns the steering wheel, flips the truck, and rides it in, which is the best part of the whole movie. I think it was even like in one take. But right after that, the very worst part of the movie shows up and ruins the whole thing, which is when he tumbles off of it in a little ball. And it's like clink, 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 and it looks so choppy and shitty, and it just ruins it. And like, other than that, that movie would be a perfect 10. Perfect movie, but that part, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, why didn't they spend just a little more time to make that realistic? Like,
or just cut it out. Just have it crash in there, and then Arnold comes out from under rubble, or you know what I mean, something like that. You know. I don't know.
Can't explain it. What did you think of the? I don't know how we got into this subject, but what did you think of the scene with Gollum and Bilbo? The the riddles scene.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite part of the book, and I hated it when they did it.
Really?
It was not as good. I thought the animated movie did it much better than the live action one did.
Yeah. Oh, the animated version scared the shit out of me as a child.
Dude, I love that movie so much.
Oh my god.
I think the way they did the horses is like horses. This is a cartoon. Horses aren't supposed to look that real.
Yeah. No. Gollum was like terrifying to me.
The like weird lizard monster thing.
Yeah, like invisible and like just.
So if you know, this is the same
scary.
studio that ended, or half of the studio ended up going on to making the Thundercats. So you can actually see a lot of the animation techniques and the drawing style and stuff like that would later be in the Thundercats in that movie. Like even Gollum's hands are clawed in the same way that the Thundercats' hands are.
Yeah, I feel like we should watch that version.
I feel like we should just watch Thundercats instead.
I'm down for that. Like Thundercats.
That was a far superior cartoon to He-Man. My God. I don't understand what anybody's hard on for He-Man is ever. It's just god awful.
Even the 2000s.
Thundercats is better.
Yeah, even the 2000s Thundercats. We should watch that too.
I never even heard of that or watched it.
You mean the one that promotes pedophilia?
Oh my God, Marsupial.
I'll remember that. I just remember it being kick-ass.
What did they like donate to Michael Jackson's defense fund or something?
I don't know what Metal's talking about. Did you ever watch Silverhawks?
In some ways, the original Thundercats kind of promoted pedophilia. Physically, he was an adult. He still had the mind of a child, though.
Is that so?
But when was he in a sexual situation?
No, it was heavily just implied that he was going to be in one.
Okay.
When Mumura penetrated him from behind, you don't remember that?
I don't remember any sexual situations in there.
You were watching. Yeah, you must have been like not been a real fan.
I guess not.
Yeah.
Although I did have the hots for Chitara, that's for sure.
I can go on Google right now and show you many images.
It's not canon. 80s Thundercat was a better cartoon. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was a better cartoon.
It's canon in my heart, is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of canon, you were telling me, Metal. Was it you who were telling me about Metroid Other M?
Oh yeah, the creator of the Metroid series. Well, not the guy who runs it now, because technically Miyamoto was the creator of the series, but the guy who's been running it the entire time since the original, basically said that Other M is not canon. He's like, it's a side story that has no bearance on the main timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he decanonized that sucker.
Yeah. Threw that shit to the ground.
The most hated Metroid game in the whole series.
Mechanically, it wasn't that bad a game, though. It's mostly just the story.
Yeah. Except for Federation Force. That was probably the most hated one.
Yeah, and I think Other M probably should be hated more.
Yeah.
Like, I get why people hate Federation Force. Is not a bad game, but it was like during a Metroid drought, that's what you gave them.
Yeah. As always, I'll tell you what, the new one better sell well. If people want more than one new Metroid every 19 years, they better fucking buy Metroid Dread. That's all I have to say.
Judge Dredd.
But well, Nintendo is marketing the shit out of it. Like, have you seen their Twitter page? Their Twitter profile?
I don't go on Twitter.
All Metroid.
Not much, like, at all.
Oh, right. Nintendo USA. Metroid profile pic. Metroid background. Metroid all day long.
Every time I see a Metroid anything, it just reminds me of a Ghostbusters reboot. Then you just let these old franchises die already.
No.
Come with something new. How many times are they gonna reboot Zelda and Mario? Get out of my face.
It's not a reboot. It's a new one.
Yeah, this is a continuation. This is actually Metroid 5.
Yeah.
This is the 5th game in the
What
Metroid
a bunch
series.
of garbage and hogwash.
Yeah. And, like, most of the original team is still working on it, so it's not like it's being taken over by other people.
Yeah.
All these idiots trying to make this character their own.
But it is the person.
Flip says he doesn't like the look of it. Well, Flip, you can go straight to hell.
I don't disagree with it, though. I'm probably still gonna buy it.
Original creators are all George Lucasing these products.
Another problem, I didn't actually like the way that Samus Returns looked. Like, the graphics
of it.
You
go straight to hell.
Let me look up what Metroid... What is it called? Metroid what?
Dread.
I love
1D or 2D?
It's 2D. What?
It's a side-scroller.
Oh, 2D.
Is it spelled with 1D or 2D?
Oh, 1D. It's not Judge Dredd.
Yeah. So I have to say, Samus Returns is my favorite Metroid of all time. The look, the controls, everything about it. That's just me.
Is this like a first-person shooter or something, or what?
No, it's a side-scroller, like the original Metroid.
Oh.
It's a 2D platformer.
Oh, here it is. I see it.
Yeah, where you explore.
Why is it a 2D platformer?
Because that's what Metroid is.
By the way, that new move, I figured it's called a dash counter. They're calling it a dash counter.
How come they don't make it more interesting?
I'm a fake. Well, I kind of like Metroid Other M too, so I guess I am a fake Metroid fan.
Yeah. What do you mean make it more interesting? 2D platformers are fun.
Very interesting.
They're also coming out with a 5th Metroid Prime game eventually. Called Metroid Prime 4. No, it's the 5th Metroid Prime game, though. Because there's Metroid Prime Hunters.
Oh. Fine.
Yeah, it's Prime 4, but it's the 5th Metroid Prime game.
All right. Touche. Well, I'm gonna have to stream some Samus Returns and get some people on my side.
Yeah,
Other than
the Prime series is probably more your speed, Dillard, because that's a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
I don't like first-person shooters either.
Oh, okay.
What do you like? You like nothing. Nothing good.
I only like the good stuff.
You
I
only
don't like all
like
this whack shit.
games based on She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, right?
Yeah, if it's popular, absolutely.
All right.
You'd probably like Yakuza. Yakuza's pretty popular, and it's basically it's like those old school beat 'em up games, but in 3D.
Like this, does it do like the Crash Bandicoot thing with the 2D side scroller, where like it might flip sometimes, and now you're running in a gauntlet forward or backwards? It's just pure 2D side scrolling.
No, yeah, well, you Metroid? Yeah, it's just 2D.
Yeah, Metroid.
Yeah, it's just 2D. It's just 2D.
Just 2D. There's some cinematics when you're fighting some of the bigger enemies. It'll turn the camera and it'll be a bit cinematic and stuff like that.
But you won't be playing that.
I would hope so, because this is supposed to be like a big game, right? It's a recognizable name from a big company.
Yeah.
I think
But
they
all the
put
main
more into it than just a 2D side scroller.
I mean,
Unless
this
it
is
has like,
exactly
I don't know,
what the fans
400
want.
hours of gameplay. Yeah, but fans don't know what they want. That's what makes them fans.
Well, they're also doing a third-person shooter in the same franchise.
I think the last game that I actually liked was Red Dead Redemption.
Mm. I like a lot of games.
My wife likes walking simulators.
I would have assumed so.
I like drinking simulators. Smoking simulators.
Yeah, now you're talking my language.
There we go.
How about
By the
Tamagotchi?
way-
You like those games?
Mm.
The one where you got to keep a little egg alive?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
my
like
sister
it.
had those.
Yeah, because they're
So, you know,
Tamagotchi.
I always
Imagine
wanted
that.
to get one, but then I was like, nah, that's pretty gay. If I
They
got
just
one.
came out with a smartphone, or like not a smartphone, but like a smartwatch, like they have for the smartphones, and it's like Tamagotchi smartwatch. That it's like just a new version of the Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
But
Well,
then
I'm
that
definitely
kind of
getting-
takes the whole everything I don't like about video games, like ones where things happen when you're not there to do anything about it. I don't like that, and I guess that's kind of the whole point of it. I guess I wouldn't enjoy it, but I really did want one when they got popular. I was just too old for it, and I was a boy, so I was like, it doesn't really work.
I was like the only person I knew that didn't have one.
Yeah, I used to see them all over Scald. Like all the kids would have them like hanging off their backpack keychains and stuff. It's my Tamagotchi.
Yeah, you're gonna let it die.
And then they started coming out with a bunch of bootleg ones that were not actual Tamagotchis.
Of course.
Hey, that's how Digimon started. It was originally a bootleg Tamagotchi.
Digimon's still a bootleg Pokemon.
That's right.
No, I enjoy it. And also those, I never actually got to own one, but those, you remember those Tiger games they would have in the Kmart and stuff?
Mhm.
The Tiger toys were just like one game in a handheld thing. I always wanted to get one of those, but never did.
I had a couple of those.
Yeah, I bet you did.
They were shitty. They were terrible.
Were they?
Always.
Yeah. Well, it's time.
It is.
Unfortunately.
It is time. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with somebody else who might enjoy it. And if you really like the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Over.